Good morning, Facebook family and our YouTube family. How's everybody doing today? It is Monday. Christa made it back. She was on the road again this weekend. Hey, Christa.
Good morning.
So
How's
the
everybody
trailer
doing?
was live and on the road in Rogers, Arkansas this weekend. Next weekend, we're in
Yeah.
Broken Arrow. Y'all, the trailer is going, Brad, and we have a guest here today, and I'll introduce Brad in a second. The trailer is going so strong. I don't think we even have a weekend off anytime soon. So today, y'all, we're so
soon.
excited. We're going to talk to Brad. I'm going to turn it over to Krista for a little admin and introduce Brad, and we're going to ask Brad some questions. Y'all, we got a whiskey maker in the house. Not that, I may or may not partake in that a little. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. So thanks for joining us. It's been a crazy morning technology-wise, I have to tell you. Karen's had internet challenges. Me, personally, I'm in my car because my roofer showed up at 7 o'clock this morning, and we all know what that sounds like. We have got a special guest, Brad Primo with Leadslinger Whiskey. So Brad has been a newer friend and family with Shoot Like a Girl. You know, this country has hit a strange turmoil, and at one point, so many companies kind of turned their message and their mission to help people through the process. And Brad and Leadslinger Whiskey said, you know, what can we do? And we suddenly learned they could make hand sanitizer. So we're going to talk to him about that. How do you go from making whiskey to hand sanitizer? At the end of today, we'll talk a little quickly about our two winners. Remember, we had GSSF last Monday, and they had two prizes. We'll do that. And of course, if you like, comment, and share this post, you'll be eligible and entered to win a small Leadslinger Whiskey swag bag package. So let's get started. Brad, thanks for joining us. You guys you're in Nashville.
Yes,
I
live in Nashville.
Am I right? Okay. Okay, good. I was like, wait, my brain stopped for a minute. So why don't you just give us a quick, second about who you are personally, and then your journey to how you got to Leadslinger Whiskey.
Well, I mean, it was a crazy journey, really, because I was in the Army for a little while. And after I got out, I was actually a police officer for about 6 years, just south of Nashville. And while I was there, I got a little bit burnt out. So I got an accounting degree and went from being an airborne infantryman to a midnight shift cop to an accountant sitting in a cubicle. So I made that work for a couple of years, but that was actually probably the worst couple of years I had professionally. But during that time, actually my best friend from the Army, he had switched over to the Air Force, and he had met up with Jared Taylor and Matt Best and started Article 15 Clothing, and they brought me on to be the accountant. And from there, we decided to start our own brand of whiskey. And so I guess, man, coming up on 6 years ago, I walked out of that accounting firm for the last time and hopped on a plane the very next day and flew out to Oklahoma City to meet with our distiller and start Leadslingers Whiskey.
That is awesome. It's amazing how many people, if they just see that small door open, they can start following a dream they either think they had or never really knew was their next path, and how awesome it can be. So Leadslinger Whiskey is 6 years old, right?
Yeah, so the company is 6 years old. We've been producing. Of course, we had there was already some stock sitting in the barrel house that we kind of fell in on at the distillery. So right now, what we're putting in bottles is about 6 to 7 years old.
Karen, did you have a question? I didn't
I did. So when he said Article 15, so this is a little deviation from the script, but so I worked for the Army in civilian or in military personnel for 22 years, and Article 15 is, for those of you not in the military, is when somebody does something bad and they get in a little bit of trouble. I used to always think they needed to have an Article 99 for just generally dumb things people do. Like sometimes we'd have some things that came across. So that made me laugh because it made me remember those days back when I was a civilian for the Army. But so Brad, all right, so then COVID hits, right? And what made you decide to just do the hand sanitizer? Because y'all, this is an innovative company. Not only did he have his journey, there's my puppies. He had that, he went from making whiskey, which they still do, to then making hand sanitizer to serve the greater need. And how did that decision come about?
Well, kind of everything went crazy overnight, right? I mean, it seemed like everything was okay one day, and then the next day the whole world was kind of turned upside down. So, we were kind of faced with a tough spot because, now we're faced with a national sales team that can no longer travel. A lot of this business is still done face to face, very old school. Those guys aren't taking meetings, and so like,
Right.
bars are closed, and so, we were faced with essentially, just everything is kind of freezing up, along with everybody else. I mean, we're still moving product, but, the product you see that's on the shelf right now, we sold to the distributor 3 months ago, 6 months ago, however long. So we were trying to figure out what to do when we got a letter from the Tax and Trade Bureau, and that's the organization, the government that regulates the making of liquor. And they basically told us, if you guys want to start making hand sanitizer, you can distill alcohol and it not be taxed for consumption, because it's a whole different ball of wax. And they gave us the recipe to use. It was approved by World Health Organization, and it was essentially, almost a request. Because Purell, like the big boys making hand sanitizer, they can't keep up. Projected shortages going into early next year, last I heard. So we just saw an opportunity to, at least keep the stills running, and an opportunity to help, because, at that time, it seemed like forever ago, we're only talking, maybe 3 months ago, there was a lot of medical facilities that didn't have hand sanitizer, couldn't get it, retirement homes. And then we had to start looking at something kind of important to me, being a former law enforcement officer. There's a lot of small police departments that don't have the budget to go out and find hand sanitizer, because the other thing that happened is the hand sanitizer was available, all got put a premium put on it, and so, I saw some places selling hand sanitizer that before COVID hit was going for, maybe 25 cents an ounce or something like that, to $1 an ounce, $2 an ounce, and higher. And so, I got a lot of contact from, these really small police departments, especially out in places like Oklahoma, South Dakota, and these departments only have 4 or 5 dudes, and they don't have a budget to go out and find hand sanitizer. So we saw an opportunity to help and be a part of the solution. It's frankly, I think it's just kind of in our nature. Like everybody that's on this team, we all kind of, we're in business, of course, to support our families and make a living. But, when we see an opportunity to give a hand to somebody who needs it, we really try to help out when we can.
That's awesome. So, I have to be honest, we love the Leadslinger hand sanitizer. We have it on our trailer. How do you stop a production? Like, do you change your whole facility, or did you just like split it in half and say, okay, this half of the stills are doing whiskey and this half are doing hand sanitizer? I mean, that seems like a huge business endeavor in that moment.
Honestly, it's not as difficult as you would think. I mean, the most difficult part for us was actually, for one, hydrogen peroxide is one of the ingredients in our hand sanitizer. It's a very small part, but sourcing hydrogen peroxide for a reasonable price, that was somewhat challenging. But then really the probably the biggest hurdle we had getting started was finding plastic bottles. That was another thing that when this hit, it was just in short supply. I mean, like it still is in short supply, and different types of caps, flip top, spray bottles, whatever, like those things, short supply, hard to find, and really expensive. So kind of navigating the sourcing materials was probably the most challenging part. But as far as making the hand sanitizer, our facility is already pretty much set up to do things like that, because when you think about it, all we're doing is we're taking liquor, which is what a base is. It's corn liquor. It's just distilled spirits made from corn. You take the alcohol and then we have to mix it down with vegetable glycerin so it doesn't evaporate too quickly. Then put the hydrogen peroxide in it to denature it so people don't drink it. But
that was my next question.
Yeah.
That was my next question.
So essentially all we were doing is making 120 proof corn liquor and mixing it down with denaturing agents. We have the facilities to do that because we already do, we make a spiced rum, we make a cinnamon whiskey. And so we're already taking distilled spirits and mixing them with other ingredients to make the final product. So the switch over, as far as making the liquid, was probably the easiest part, to be honest with you.
One of the things I love about your hand sanitizer is it does smell pretty good. And we've had some hand sanitizer that doesn't smell good. And so when we open it, we're all like, oh yeah, that smells good. Like it has a good smell. You guys are doing great things. I really appreciate that you're sending it out to the law enforcement. I mean, our law enforcement needs all the help they can get right now. And so that is really great. Yeah.
I mean, it's, again, the world got turned upside down in a lot of different ways. And, I think back to, it may sound kind of corny, but I used to love, Mr. Rogers when I was a kid. And, his whole saying, his mom told him, like, when things are going crazy and you're not really sure what to do, like, look for the people who are helping. So that's what we try to be the people who are helping.
That's awesome.
Okay, so now,
can the regular population,
day in the neighborhood's going to get stuck in my head.
So, Brad, can the regular civilian population buy Leadslingers whiskey, or is it only going through some commercial business type entities at this point?
So you're asking about the whiskey or the hand sanitizer?
Hand sanitizer first.
Okay.
I know about. We'll talk about the whiskey, but the hand sanitizer first.
We sold, back in, end of March through the whole month of April, we sold, and put out a whole bunch of hand sanitizer to individuals, organizations, like whoever contacted us, in need. So fortunately right now it feels like, a lot of the hand sanitizer the supply is starting to catch up. So we're actually, we haven't made any hand sanitizer for, probably about a month now. We do still have some on hand. If we start, the nice thing is, like I was explaining earlier, if the demand starts going back up and we need to start putting more out, then, we could definitely switch over and start doing it again.
Well, that's good. Now let's talk about the whiskey.
Okay.
So, Leadslingers whiskey, is it distributed just across the country, or is it in certain areas?
Well, we're aiming for across the country. We're in right about 40 states right now. The nature of the liquor business is it's a state by state grind. You can't. There's really no way to get out there, on day one and be available, across the country, unfortunately. But so it's a state by state grind, and you got to find the right wholesale partner in each state that wants to get behind the product and gives us the appropriate amount of attention and then get us placed in retail locations and in bars. So some states we have really good partners and we're all over the place. Other states, we have to kind of jump up and down and stomp our feet and scream because, we're not Jack Daniels, we're not Jim Beam. We don't have the budget to basically pay the salesman an extra kicker every time they sell a case. Things that other companies are able to do. So like I said, it's more of a grind, but we rely a lot on word of mouth and social media interaction and just kind of getting our name out there and taking care of our community and kind of spreading that way.
That's awesome.
So we have one of our followers, Gina Burns, said Leadslinger is her favorite. I thought you'd like to hear that.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to, can we direct order it? Can we contact you if it's legal to ship to our?
Well, so the best way right now is to go to our website. We have a store locator there, and you can search it by zip code or the name of your city, state, that sort of thing. I will caution like two things. One, we rely on these wholesale partners I mentioned to give us a list of retail locations that we can put in that store locator. Some are more forthcoming than others. So, for example, we have product on the shelf in the state of Michigan. We have not gotten a list of stores from the state of Michigan. So, if you type it into the store locator, it'll look like we're not in Michigan, but we're there. Any distributor or any store can order from the distributor there. You just got to ask for it if you don't see it. The other caveat to those lists is, they're not always up to date. It's not necessarily a reflection of current inventory. So before you drive a couple hours to a store that has it, call ahead just to make sure, because we have unfortunately had a few people that, they get excited, and I really appreciate the excitement, but they get in the car and drive for 2 hours and get to the store and find out that it's not there. And then, they get mad at me. Or,
Well, I
We've had
gotta
that.
say, I think that's universal across every product at this point in our country. You can't
Mhm.
trust necessarily that it's on the shelf or what the store hours are. I've been
Right.
beat on that one a few times. So, Brad, do y'all have a facility where you do tours like some of the bigger manufacturers, or is it something you're still working on?
We're still working towards that. So we've also have started a brewery out there in Oklahoma next to the distillery, which is going to have a tap room and people can come in and drink beer. We're starting to put beer out now too. Our distillery area is very small, and so what we're kind of left with to safely host guests, you have to have certain areas that are basically blocked off for guests only. And we just don't have the space to do that right now. We got to use all of our space for production and packaging and shipping.
Sure.
So we just don't have the room for it right now.
So Brad, what's the website?
Website is leadslingerswhiskey.com.
And then I got to ask, where in Oklahoma exactly?
The distillery is in Moore, Oklahoma, so it's just south of Oklahoma City, kind of between Oklahoma City and Norman, where OU is.
And is that where the brewery is as well?
Yes, that's correct.
How far are we from that, Karen, in a couple of weeks? Because we might have to make a trip.
Oh, I agree.
We should be fairly close. We will be in Oklahoma City in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
If
maybe
you,
we can come out.
Yeah, let me know, and I'll talk to the guys and see what they have going on, and see if we can host guests at the time and all that. Because right now, I mean, the nice thing is with some places being able to open their economies again, we're starting to pick back up, especially with the beer and beer production. We just launched the beer up in the Northeast, in like Connecticut, Jersey, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island.
Awesome.
So we're starting to crank out a lot of beer too. So you may get to see some of that going on.
That's awesome. Well, Brad, thanks so much for your success, for coming on and helping us, and really congratulations on all your success. It is quite clear that you're very innovative in keeping up with trends and going to do great things. So from a soldier to a police officer to an accountant, which that throws me for a loop, to a whiskey and beer maker and hand sanitizer maker. You've really had such a great life and great journey, and I love your Mr. Rogers quote, so thank you very much for that. We try to keep these under 15 minutes. We're a little over that, so we're gonna kind of wrap it up. I'll turn it over to Christa here in a second, but I did want to say, because we are a shooting sports introductory company, everybody, so for everybody, firearm safety is very important. And one thing that we never do, and none of the people that we associate do, is mix whiskey and alcohol and firearms. So that's for after the range, not before the range. And so we just want to make sure we throw that little safety tip out. We aren't encouraging you to go drink and shoot. We're encouraging you to go shoot. And then if you
celebrate,
go partake. Brad, thank you very much. And we all have puppies, and our fans love puppies, so no worries there. I'll turn it over to Christa to close it up, and then Brad will give you if you have anything else you want to say. But thanks so much for supporting Shoot Like a Girl with that hand sanitizer. That was a critical piece. I mean, we have to fill out requests to some states to just even travel in that state. And so without having that hand sanitizer available for our staff and our clients, we would not be able to travel. And so thank you so very much for your support. We really do appreciate it. Christa, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Brad, again. I know it's been a journey, and we really appreciate everything that you and your team have done. So let's go through some business things really quickly. Remember, if you like, comment, and share this post, you will be entered and eligible to win some swag from Leadslinger Whiskey. It will not be whiskey. Let's go ahead and put that out there. It will be probably a shirt and a hat. Just know it's not going to come in liquid form. So sorry. We have two winners from last week. So last week we had the Glock Shooting Sports Foundation with Scott Drobnick and Jamie Meyer. And they have put together two different prizes. One is a cup and one is a pistol case. So our pistol case winner is Angie Elliott Hawk, and our cup is Beth Sonova DeMoss. So I will reach out to both of you, get your mailing address, and those will come directly from Glock. So be a little patient, right? I'll send it on to them, and then their shipping people will ship it out from there. I had one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, yes. we've got some fun stuff coming up next week. So join us next Monday. We have Walther Firearms joining us. We are going to talk a little bit about their video series and what their message is in helping everyone stay educated, especially all of you new firearms owners out there. And then the next Tuesday, that's not tomorrow, but the next Tuesday, which is August 11th. My brain's tired, so don't quote me on that. We've got our ladies' night in and a live like we've never done before. If you remember, when we started our live process, we started with the puppies. Remember, Trigger might have had a couple nights out, ended up having a couple puppies. Chai Latte's DNA test results are back, and next Tuesday night, we're going to do a live and let you know really what the makeup of the other participant other than Trigger is. So that was a nice way to say that, Karen. Quit laughing. All right. Again, thank you guys. We are way over our 15 minutes. Brad, we really appreciate everything you're doing, and we will see you all next Monday. Bye.
Great.